The following episode contains approximately 815 spoilers for all seasons and episodes of Lost. You have been warned. Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, good night, wherever the fuck in the world you are. Welcome back to Lost the Plot, a podcast about two Irish lads talking absolute shite about ABC's hit show Lost from the mid-noughties. I wanted to come up with something other than shite. I couldn't think of anything else on the spot there. I should have pre-planned that. But who am I talking to, audience? I would know you're wondering. Well, let me introduce them to you. If you don't know them, you sure fucking will by the end of this hour and a half, whatever this is going to be. This is my co-host, Dave.
Hour and a half is optimistic. Hello, Ada. How's it going? How are you?
Yeah, you're right. It is fucking optimistic. We, for anyone who doesn't know, we record usually for like 3 hours, and we try to cut it down to about an hour and a half. Yeah, we try.
Episode 2 of the season, which remains at the time of recording. Actually, episode 3 has been edited as well, but episode 2 remains our shortest episode so far. We actually managed to clock in 90 there. Episode 3, I don't know if you're aware of this, but the listeners are 2 hours.
Oh no, I was not aware of that.
Sorry, folks.
I remember when we started this podcast, I was envisioning episode lengths of about 40 minutes.
Can you imagine?
I thought 40 minutes is like as long as I'd want it to be.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
It's very hard to discipline yourself that way, though, especially when you're covering. I guess it was always going to be theoretically impossible because we're covering 40-minute episodes of television, right? Now, I don't know. Maybe we could have gone for the more broad strokes method, but we tend to get into the details, especially me.
Yeah. This is the whole, I don't know, shtick behind our podcast. Like, there's a veritable community of Lost podcasters out there. Like, if you want a podcast on ABC's Lost, holy shit, you have so much choice. We are literally one in a million. We are a tree in a forest. Exactly. Drop in a bucket, right?
I believe they're collectively referred to as Lostcasts. I found that out during the week because I went on the Lostpedia. I have a list of unofficial Lostcasts, and I get us on there. I don't know I have no idea how to do it. I think I couldn't edit the article because it's like a wiki thing. So I don't know if like you have to log in to edit or if you have to be given special permission. So I just tweeted at them. Lostpedia I haven't tweeted since 2021. So I'm not optimistic.
And of all these Lost casts, I want to give a shout out to two of them. First of all, our friends, our very good friends, Lacey, Ben, Christy, and what's his name? Derek. It's Derek, isn't it? Yeah. I had Derek in my head, but my mouth wanted to say Damien, and I was like, no, that's
I was thinking Damon. How weird is it? I guess Damon Lindelof, maybe I had in mind, but
sorry,
yeah, no,
Derek.
Sorry, Derek.
Shout out to Christy, Ben, and all the crew over at Lost in My 40s.
Can I just say that it's fine that we forgot Derek's name because he hasn't seen Lost before. He's doing a first watch through podcast, and we're a spoiler podcast, so he's never going to hear this.
He's not listening.
So if we were going to forget anyone's name.
I didn't forget his name. My mouth was just forming the wrong one, and I fought against it. But the second one I'm going to give a shout out to, I think I already gave a shout out to it. I discovered them recently on TikTok, and that is Lauren Gets Lost.
Oh, yeah, you told me about these folks.
These are a brother and sister duo who are watching Lost. So their whole shtick is that the brother, I've even forgotten the brother's name now, because the podcast is named after the sister, Lauren, right? So I obviously remember her name, but the brother, I'm just referring to him as the brother. If you ever listen to this, man, I'm so sorry.
Let's just call him Derek.
Derek. All right, Derek 2.0. He's seen Lost. He loves Lost. And Lauren has always said she would never watch the fucking show. So now she's watching it for the first time. He's a veteran at this shit, right? I'm seeing a pattern among these Lost casts. And but the thing is, she keeps coming up with these wild, crazy theories, and it's Lost, right? Take a shot in the dark, and you might hit something. And she does occasionally fucking get some shit right, you know? Like she's throwing wild theories out there, but their TikTok is fire, like straight up fire. Like it's good shit. Good mastery of the memes, right? Which this new generation, this slightly younger generation than us, they're good at the old TikTok memes. I feel like our generation, you and I, like we're slightly graduating a bit beyond that. I'm trying.
Yeah, I never joined TikTok. I think I've talked about this before, but I just made an intentional decision. I was like, when it started to get popular, I was like 29. So I was like, I am a 29-year-old ass man, and this is not for me. But you have been you've been rocking the TikTok on behalf of Lost the Plot, which I completely advocate for. You know, if it gets us more listeners, then hey baby, bring it on.
Hey, I'm not even doing it for the listeners. I just want something. I want. What am I trying to say here? I want us to create something that in years to come we can look back on and say, "Hey, we fucking did that." Right?
Yeah.
We did. I don't give a fuck who listens to it.
Yeah. That's how. Yeah, 100%. But hey, listen. So this Lauren Gets Lost. Is this a new Lost podcast?
From what I can tell, yeah. I don't have time in my life to literally wipe my own ass these days. So I've only gotten to listen to the first 2 episodes of the podcast. Good, entertaining shit. I really, really like it.
Isn't it cute that now we were the fresh new Lost podcast last year, and now we're like the grizzled veterans, and we can I don't like bestow advice. I don't think Lauren's actually listening, right? You haven't been in touch with these people?
Oh God, no, of course not.
Okay, well, shout out to them anyway. Hey, speaking of episodes and podcasts and everything, this is our 30th episode. This is something of a minor milestone.
Hey.
Not as much of a milestone as our 25th episode, but we forgot to point that out. So it's weird that 25 is like kind of the mile. I guess it's because it's halfway to 50, quarter way to 100. That makes sense. But anyway, 30 eps.
Yeah, this whole thing quarter way to 100. We're episode 30 now. We're still closer to 125 was.
Yeah. True. While we are navel gazing about our podcast and our Lostcast and our place within the community, I got a very interesting piece of feedback during the week. A very lovely compliment from a friend who shall remain nameless, and you'll see why in a sec. But again, this is a very unique review. It's very positive. She told me that she took LSD and sat on her back porch painting and wanted, so she's Irish but she lives abroad, she wanted like something comforting, like some kind of home comfort, and she decided to put on our podcast while on acid, and she said she had a fucking great time. She said she laughed and felt like a warm embrace. I don't know how familiar you are with psychedelics. You know, I've done them a few times. I won't get too much into it because my ma listens, but I wouldn't have said a podcast, especially our one, would be the best accompaniment for a trip, but I'm really glad to hear that it was for this person.
Listen, man, here's the thing. I love boobs. Right? And I know what you're thinking. Where the fuck is he going with this? Yeah, he finds a way of shoehorning boobs into everything, right? But let me just make a point. If you're away from home, sorry, I keep putting my hand in front of the camera. You can't see me. I gesticulate. If you want to feel, a little bit of home, you feel a little bit homesick, you want to be embraced by the warm, ample, freckly bosom of home. Dave, you and I, we're 2 tits on the same chest here.
My God.
We are a pair of boobs, as someone would say.
He did it, folks. He stuck the landing. I had no idea where he was going with it, and he did it. But yeah, shout out to that friend. I don't think she listens to every episode, so she might not hear this one, but she knows who she is if she's listening. Shout out to her.
Do you know what? Here's the thing about our podcast. We've got something for everybody, because if you just want to listen to 2 random Irish lads just talking shit about random shit, stick on any episode and listen to like the first 15, 20 minutes.
I was going to say, if you don't care about Lost, then our podcast is the perfect length for you, because it's about 15 or 20 minutes an episode. And then you just turn it off once we get to the back to the island. Yeah. Now, I haven't said that. If you are someone who does that, I understand why, and I appreciate why. But we go off. We veer off on tangents every now and again when we're talking about the episode. So if you fancy taking a dip, we should do like a super cut sometime of all the times we don't talk about Lost and just like upload it for... No, I can see the look on your face. You're like, that is work I do not want to do. and you know it's going to fall to you.
Not a fucking dickens of a chance am I going through every audio file. Like, other podcasts have like this meticulous library, fucking Dewey Decimal System of organizing all their files and everything. I'm just like, on my new laptop, a lot of shit is still saved in the downloads folder, dude. Like, this is not good.
It's been at the top of my to-do list for a while, is to like sort out our files, and it's sat there at the top for a long time. Everything else just takes precedent. Like, oh shit, we got an episode out in 2 weeks. We got to edit it. We got to set a record date. There's a 5-hour time difference now. We got to figure that out.
Yeah.
things get in the way. But maybe our next break, I'll finally get around to those files.
We also got yesterday, fuck, days are running into each other for me. We have experienced the greatest answer to a pub quiz question that's going to be relevant in like 10 years or whatever. But we had the longest reigning Liz in the United Kingdom die during the shortest serving Liz as Prime Minister.
Nice. I never even thought about that juxtaposition, but
longest reigning monarch died during the shortest serving Prime Minister of all time, and both of them were named Elizabeth.
Bad year for Liz's in the UK.
Oh,
crazy shit.
Alrighty, I think that's enough shiting on. Dave, what do you think? You want to go on a little journey with me?
Let's go. Where are we going?
All right, let's do it, folks. Let's head on. All right, so the 30th episode of our podcast is dedicated to Lost Season 2, Episode 8, Collision, a.k.a. Old Habits.
Whoa, this is an AKA?
Kind of, sort of, yes, no, not really. And I'm not going to address that until the trivia.
Nice, okay, intrigued.
Stay tuned to the end of this episode to find out what that's about.
What do we make of that title, Collision?
Collision, I think it's pretty obvious. This is the tailies meeting the losties.
Can we shoehorn a double meaning in there? Let's see. The
collision of bullets into a human stomach.
Yeah, there you go. The collision of Ana Lucia's personal life with her professional life, maybe a little bit.
What is her personal life?
The pregnancy.
Oh yeah, that. Yeah, that's kind of a thing.
Yeah, and her recent breakup, I guess, presumably as a result.
Oh yeah, spoiler alert, she was pregnant once upon a time. That'll only be semi-relevant.
Yeah, we'll get into it.
Okay, so, yes, Season 2, Episode 8, Collision, written by Javier Grillo-Marchois.
Boy.
And Leonard Dick.
Hey, the two most wonderfully named writers collaborating at last.
Do you remember when we had no idea how to pronunciate Javier's name, like, at all? We were like, oh, fuck. We were dreading his name coming up. Like, oh, I don't know. Like,
Dana Dalloway said, hold my beer.
Hold my beer, buddy.
Hold my holy water.
Yeah, although Adewale, fuck, I was about to say it's not that bad to pronounce, and I fucked it up the first time. Okay. Adewale, right?
Adewale, yeah, or Adewale. I'm not really sure.
This is written by Javier Grillo-Marchois, Leonard Dick, heavy hitters. Directed by Stephen Williams, a good old familiar name. One of the regulars. He's directed All the Best Cowboys. He's directed Do No Harm, Adrift, and Found from this season, along with this, Collision. So, yeah,
awesome.
He's a dab hand.
I think we're going to see him a lot in Season 2 and forward, because, yeah, he only had the handful in the first season. But, yeah, excited.
Yeah, I imagine we'll be seeing a lot more. This episode, original air date. Yeah, I know. I'm bringing up the original air date. I've never done this.
Yeah, you have.
Not without being pushed.
Yeah. you also pointed out when you did bring it up that you never do it. So old habits.
Look at me looking for a fucking gold star for doing the bare minimum, right? This episode originally aired November 23rd, 2005, and had an original live audience of 19.29 million people, right?
Wow.
Not as high as previous episodes this season, but think about it. Just over 19 million people simultaneously watched this episode live when it aired. You do not get those numbers anymore.
That's not even a small country. Like, that's a pretty fucking big country.
Well, I mean, define big country. Like,
bigger than Ireland by about 4 times.
Yeah, but the United Kingdom has 10 times our population, and it's not that much bigger geographically. Good bit, True. But not much. France, for example, has like 66 million people.
Mm.
And would you call France a big country? I mean, yeah, it is a big country.
Yeah.
Ireland's population is like what? 6.5 million, something like that?
4.5 in the Republic, at least.
I like to count the Northern Ireland as well, because 26 plus 6 equals 1.
Hell yeah. It sickened me. For years, I would look up the population of Ireland, and I just always assumed that included the North. And it sickened me when I thought of, like, one day it occurred to me that they're not counting the occupied counties.
The occupied counties, my God.
Chucky our law.
We are salty bastards, aren't we? Although then again, do we really want to reincorporate Northern Ireland again? It's a money sink. Like, it costs.
Yeah, economically, it's dead weight for everybody. But just emotionally, just in the heart, 26+6.
This is what our forefathers fought for, man.
Exactly.
Anyway, do you want to talk about Lost?
Yeah, let's do it. Let's stop talking about that concession to the bourgeoisie.
Yeah. All right, so let's continue on with the episode. We start off with our previously on Lost, okay? In the previously on Lost, we get a little bit more reminder of who Ana Lucia is. We get Ana Lucia in the airport bar with Jack, which we revealed during that episode. It's not in an airport. They just kind of Photoshop in sounds. What word am I looking for here? They just
they fixed it in post.
They fixed it in post. Yeah.
Wait. I don't remember this. Was that trivia then? Was that not shot in an airport?
No, that was not shot in an airport. That was just shot in a normal fucking bar. And in post, they just include airplane sounds in the background.
Yeah.
And crowds.
Did you point that out at the time? I don't remember that, but I'm not saying you didn't do it. I just
really damn confident I did. I think I remember the conversation.
That was a long episode, so it makes sense that I wouldn't remember that.
Yeah. But anyway, in the previously on Lost, Ana Lucia at the airport bar with Jack. We see Sawyer being too fucked up to walk with the tailies, and he collapses. Ana Lucia ripping one through Shannon accidentally, and Saeed looking at her with pure, unadulterated, unfiltered, purely distilled rage and anger.
Murderous contempt.
That look Saeed gives Ana Lucia when she shoots Shannon, just that look, it's some of the best acting in this entire show.
If looks could torture.
That bitch would be waterboarded. The bamboo of the finger. He wants to sharpen some fucking bamboo for Ana Lucia.
100%.
Anyway, so this episode, after the previously on Lost, it opens up with a flashback. We have Ana Lucia at a gun range and then talking to a counselor of some sort, right?
Yeah. Can I really quick just ask, have you ever fired a gun before?
I have multiple guns. Yes.
Yeah, in the States?
Yeah.
Yeah, touristy thing. I've never fired a gun before. I feel like I'm missing out.
But anyway, we're going to go back to talking about Lost. Okay, we're in the flashback. Ana Lucia at a gun range, popping off a few shots, and then we see her. She's sitting down, talking to like a counselor of some sort.
Yeah, sitting way too close. I thought. Did you notice that?
Yeah, I didn't consciously cop it, but I was watching it thinking, there's something
Yeah. Every therapist I've gone to, there's been at least like 2, 3, sometimes like 5 feet between us. They're like on top of each other.
The few times I've gone to a therapist, they tend to move further away as the session goes on. So that's been my experience. You never get too close.
They back out the door.
Yeah, they usually start reaching for like a button under their desk or something. I don't know what's going on there. So Ana Lucia is talking to this counselor and he's asking like useless fucking icebreaker questions and shit. Like, how's it going at home? Like, how's things with the boyfriend? And then she says, oh no, we broke up and all this stuff. But all this useless shit before he asks her, what's it like to be back in the gun range? Like, what's it like back to hold a gun again? What's it like holding a gun again? And she said it feels very good. And we, the audience, are wondering, like, what's going on here? This is obviously like some sort of rehabilitation therapy or something, right? He's trying to assess her, whatever. I mean, I don't think they make it too mysterious what this is.
Nah.
I think it's pretty obvious. This is obviously rehabilitation to go back to work. She asks, like, am I fit to go back to work? And he says, what do you think? This is my decision to decide if you're allowed to go back to work or not. So what do you think? And we know that there was obviously some incident that led to her having to do this. And at the end, he decides, yeah, you're all good, and gives her back her badge.
Officer Cortez.
We learned she's a cop.
She's a cop, which shouldn't be really a surprise to anyone because she acts like a cop.
So anyway, we cut from that. We're back in the jungle. We're taking off where we left the last episode, right? So Ana has just shot Shannon. Shannon's dead. Saeed is ready to go at her. And guess what? He fucking does. He's got a gun and he charges after her. Now, if you're holding a gun and you want someone dead, I wouldn't go running at them.
yeah, that was dumb, right?
I thought it was a bit silly, but Saeed goes for Ana Lucia.
I think some of Shannon's stupid rubbed off on him because he does not act like Saeed here.
Yeah. Now, Adewale has obviously been listening to season 1 of Lost the Plot.
Took the words out of my mouth.
He's been paying attention to season 1. He's been getting very jealous of these Losties all trying out for the Lost Rugby Team, and he takes Saeed down.
He fucking aced it. Welcome aboard, lad. He's on the team. Mr. Echo.
100%.
Next season, I tell you, this is our season.
Bod's got nothing on this count, right?
I reckon we're close to taking on the All Blacks with this crew.
So anyway, Echo takes Saeed down. There's a bit of a scuffle.
Oh, this is a good scrap. It's like hot mud fighting.
Absolutely. I mean, this is like a pair of chicks in bikinis now in fucking WWE, right? They are down. They're getting messy. They're hitting each other. Saeed has a gun, but insists on not fucking using it. Like, I don't think this is like bad writing. This is just Saeed holding back. He wants to use the gun as an intimidation thing, but he can't bring himself to actively like shoot someone. He straight up doesn't know. He's just firing on all cylinders in an emotional sense right now. He's just on pure emotion.
I guess it works. I mean, this is my main criticism of Saeed's behavior in this episode. It works if you believe the emotional background in the first place, but I don't. And we'll talk about it later.
Yeah, now Saeed does get the gun on Echo at one point before he's whacked in the back of the head by Michael, knocks him the fuck out, and suddenly Ana has a gun on Michael. Nobody move, she says.
You can take the cop off the force,
but you can't take the force out of the cop.
There you go.
Yeah, nailed it. I knew where you were going. You see, we on the same wavelength, boy. So we cut to our title screen. We've got Lost and the glitch again. We haven't talked about the glitch season 2 yet. We've made it all the way to season 2. 20 odd fucking something episodes of season 1. They still haven't fixed the glitch in the title card. That
and they never will.
The fuck out of me. So we cut from that. We're back in the jungle. We're taking off where we left before the title card. Anna's got the gun and she's holding everybody hostage here.
She really is like acting super over the top, but then kind of in the way that American cops tend to do. So, I mean, were the writers woke as fuck here?
Well, this is very normal human behavior, I think. And this is her cop training kind of coming in as well.
Yeah.
Ana herself knows that she is being threatened. She just killed somebody. As a result of killing somebody, she is now enemy. So she is afraid people are going to turn against her. And as the person with the gun, she's also the one in power here. So she needs to get everyone under control. What better way to do that with a gun than fucking point it at everybody?
Yeah, I think this is quite an insight into her character here. I thought this was similar to do you remember our Locke episode a few episodes ago, early enough in the season? Might have been the third one, where I went on that big spiel about how Locke it was we were wondering why he would bother going back to his father, and it was this fear of being alone. Do you remember that spiel?
Yeah.
So I think there's something similar going on with Ana Lucia here. Like in the therapy session in her flashback, she says she thinks she's better off alone, right? And I think that's very telling because I think as human beings, no one is really better off alone, right? We're social creatures. And Ana Lucia has probably felt alone for 48 days, like we saw in the last episode. She's had to be leader. She's had to like tough it out, put on a brave face. And suddenly these fucking rafties come into her life, right? And she sees a chance at, like, if nothing else, like a fucking break, you know, or shared responsibility, more people, a group that seemingly have had it way easier. But then her first interaction or collision with this new group is that she accidentally kills one of them. And suddenly that comfort and that community that she felt was within her grasp, suddenly that's at risk. And she's like facing complete ostracization, if not fucking exile, you know? So I understand
or death
why
penalty.
Yeah. So she's freaked here, and I get it. I totally believe this, and I think Michelle Rodriguez does a great job of portraying it just in her crazed look in her face.
Yeah, this pure panic at the immediate situation. Like, she is in danger, either health-wise, safety-wise, or just status-wise. She's in pure danger here now, and she's got a gun. Oh, this is going to end well. Of course, absolutely. It's fair to say during the scene, no one is very appreciative of how Ana is handling the situation. Even Echo is rebelling against her orders. She orders Echo to tie up Saeed. But the way she does it, it's not like, hey, tie him up, right? She's not even making eye contact, which is like, tie him up. Just tie him up, right? And he's like, no, I am not going to tie him up.
And Michael has this look on his face like, damn, black guy standing up to a cop.
I know, right? I didn't know if I was reading too much into that.
Michael, I mean, he doesn't. I don't think he knows she's a cop, but you know what I mean. He does have this sort of look of disbelieving respect. He's like, oh shit, Echo's stepping up.
Yeah, Anna's just like, she's a little too unhinged here. So Echo straight up refuses, and Ana knows that Echo is her greatest asset. So when he refuses, she orders Libby to do it.
She's whiling,
and we get a flashback. We get another flashback. So it's Ana Lucia. She's in full-on cop gear. She's walking through, police station. She's back to work. She goes to see the captain, who is a woman.
Hispanic woman.
Another Hispanic woman. I wonder if there's a connection. I guess we'll have to wait and find out. Basically, Captain gives her a job with evidence, and Anna sees this for what it is. She's like, "You giving me a fucking desk job? No. I want patrol." And Captain's like, "No, I ain't giving you patrol work. If I give you patrol work, people are going to know I pulled some fucking strings." And then Anna asks, "Are you doing this because you're my captain or because you're my mom?" And boom, there's the big reveal, right? Captain's the mom.
In Espanol as well. Yeah, Captain Mom.
Yes, Captain Mom Cortez. Absolutely. I believe that's on her. It's on her desk, right? We cut from that back to, actually, before I move on from that, Captain Cortez caves and she just scribbles on the order he gave her, like in pen, and like almost as if it's in crayon. Anna gets patrol work now. Yeah.
So, okay, we had the exact same observation then. Is giving an officer a new assignment really as simple as crossing out a word on a piece of fucking paper? Like no wonder the LAPD is so fucked if that's the case.
That could have been written in by Anna herself. Like, no, Captain said.
Absolutely. All that happens is Ana Lucia threatens to transfer, and then her mom is like falls faster than Superman on laundry day. She's like, "Oh no, not my baby." Here are all your demands with no compromise. Like, just don't transfer. What the fuck?
It's Anna taking advantage of her mom being her mom, right?
But like 5 seconds beforehand, she was putting her foot down, and then she just lifts it right back up.
Yep. And then this other random guy just sticks his head in the door and he's like, "Officer Cortez, they need you in the bullpen. It's urgent," right? And he fucks off. It's so obvious what he's doing. But Captain Cortez, the mom, says, "They got you a cake. Try to act surprised." That's just petty.
Have you ever had to try and act surprised? Like, did you ever have a surprise spoiled for you?
No one cares about me that much. What the fuck are you talking about?
Do you want to hear my story? The reason I asked?
Yeah, go.
Okay, this is going to seem more tragic than it is, I think. But when I was 12 years old, I just think this is super funny. When I was 12 years old, my parents split up, and their relationship. I hope my dad never listens to this. Their relationship was quite bad for a long time, so this was something that made sense to me. Even as a child, I was like, "Yeah, this is the right idea." And my ma confided in my brother and I, like the day before it was happening. She's like, "Your dad and I are going to sit you down tomorrow and tell you that we're splitting up. Act surprised."
Oh my god.
Which I think is really funny. So then, I don't know why she told us ahead of time. I guess because she kind of would confide in us. But anyway, the next day, my parents sat us down and we had to, for my dad's benefit, act like this was a big shock.
Oh no. Oh, wow.
Anyway, there's a nice mood killer. Back to the episode.
I mean, pretending for other people's benefit. As a small kid, like around the age of 12, you ever been given like a birthday card by somebody and you open it and you have to pretend not to see the money?
Yeah. The biggest farce that we play every year on our dear old grandparents.
Exactly. It's like, "Oh, thank you so much." And then you have to act really interested in what's written on the card so that you're not just in it for the money. Because all we want to do is like take the $5, the $10, the $20, whatever is in the card, take it and just fuck the card away. It's like, yay. Nice.
The only thing that's more difficult than that sort of performance is when there's no money in there and you have to hide your disappointment.
Oh, that is a fucking killer. Like, why would you bother giving me a card? Fuck off. Like, I do not care about. Give me money, okay? Have you seen the economy?
Yeah, this is waste.
Speaking of waste, we're not even 5 minutes into the episode. Let's keep going, okay?
Yeah, keep it rolling.
Yeah, so we go from that flashback. We're on the beach. Rose comes up to Jack and tells him he needs more fruit and sunshine. Apparently fruit is good for the Constitution. What does she mean by that?
Well, she doesn't mean the Constitution of the United States of America, if that's what you mean. She means like it's like your the Constitution is a stat in Dungeons and Dragons, for example. It's like how well you can handle sickness and stuff. It's like an old-timey word for your immune system, basically.
I thought she was telling him that fruit will help keep him regular with his pooping schedule. I thought that's what that meant. But I find it funny how she's like, they say it's good for the Constitution. And she's literally telling the only doctor on
I
the
was
island.
going to say, the they is doctors.
And Jack's like, well, if that's what they say. And he goes and eats some shit. But then out of fucking nowhere, the like water pool, the basin that Jack is working at, like, I don't know, he's washing clothes or some shit. Something just fucking lands in it, like a fucking meteor or whatever. And him and Rose just look at each other and he fishes it out and it's a golf ball. And I couldn't help but think, like, I don't know who fired that golf ball, but that is so irresponsible, right? Like,
Yeah, Jesus.
holy shit, like they just fired it into the campsite. But anyway, we cut from that to the origins of the golf ball, and we've got Hurley, Kate, and Charlie playing golf down the beach. Like, was the actual golf course that Hurley built not good enough? They wanted
yeah.
like they wanted to they wanted Hurley to make like a fucking links course or something here.
What if Bernard was like walking back into the camp and Rose stands up and she goes, "My husband," and then she's clocked by a golf ball and dies? Like, it's super fucking irresponsible.
Cue the life and death music. Nah, nah, nah. So anyway, Jack rocks on up and he sees her playing golf. And obviously, Jack is popping a stiffy. Like, he loves him some golf and some Kate in that order.
And Kate is fucking Tiger Jungle. Huh?
Huh? Oh! Okay.
It's a thinker. Not a very good one, though.
Okay. I'm stupid. That took me a second. Tiger Jungle. I got it. Yeah.
Also, do you know when Kate hits the shot, like her and Hurley and Charlie banter back and forth? This is before Jack arrives, and that she hits a shot. That's a CGI golf ball, right?
I have no idea.
You see it flying away from her. I don't know. It just looks CGI as fuck to me. I'm like, Evangeline Lilly probably has no golf skills at all in real life. So they're like, yeah, just fix it in post.
Well, to quote Jack later in this scene, anyone can hit a ball, but that's not golf, right?
Yeah. He's big on the mansplaining in this scene.
Oh, yeah. He's big on giving her like tips on how to hit a ball. And she challenges him to 3 holes with bragging rights on the line. I love this whole scene.
Yeah.
This scene is some wholesome old school season 1 shit.
100%.
Like it's Jack and Kate flirting over golf, and you've just got Hurley and Charlie being a couple of dickheads in the background, like,
yeah. Yeah, I don't like where Kate challenges him and Jack goes like, "You're kidding, right?" Like, I know he's trash talking, but he does sound super fucking condescending. Like, why would she be kidding? She's good at golf. It just reeked of like, oh, the girl wants to play me in golf. I guess it's just playful trash talking.
And he really is milking this whole, I'm a doctor. Of course I know golf, right? I'm like, fuck off.
Yeah, you can't keep going that well, Jack. That's good for 2 jokes tops.
Yeah, and we're in season 2 now. Like, get some new material. So we move on from that to the jungle, right? We go from a very lighthearted situation to possibly the most serious situation we've had yet. Besides Boone dying, maybe. But anyway, everyone is held at gunpoint. Ana Lucia is unhinged. Like, Annie's got a gun. Saeed is knocked the fuck out. He's tied up. But anyway, in this scene, we've got Libby trying to talk some sense into Anna. Saeed demands to be untied. Echo hoists Sawyer up onto his shoulders, and Anna begs him not to go. Like, she's gone from crazy, angry bitch here. I feel justified in calling her a bitch here. She's acting like a bitch. And she's all of a sudden softened at Echo leaving. And that really betrays how much she feels she needs Echo here. Like his intimidating stature, his status as her number 2.
Before he was mute and now he's mutineering.
Oh, I love it. Anna's begging Echo not to go, like, because she is fucking scared. And he says that he's not doing this for the Losties. He's not doing this for Saeed. Or for Sawyer, I mean. He's doing this for him.
Doubt? That's not Echo's bag, right? He's a charitable man.
Yeah. Well, no, I think he's doing it because he believes it's the good Christian thing to do. He doesn't care who he's doing it for.
Do you think when he says I'm doing it for me, he's trying to get some, like, he's trying to rescue Sawyer to get the goodwill that Anna has already lost them? Maybe that's what he means by doing it for me.
I think it's so much more simplistic than that. I think he's doing it just because he believes this is the right thing to do.
Well, okay, yeah, I agree. In which case, he's not doing it for him.
He's doing it because he feels he has to, which is doing it for him, I think.
Okay, yeah, I guess I could see that.
I don't know. I feel like we're getting hung up on semantics here, but yeah, he's doing it because he knows it's just the right thing to do. I've no other way of phrasing it. And we cut from that to a flashback. We've got Anna and her partner. Did you happen to catch his name?
Oh, I didn't. I know it's on Lostpedia because I looked up the actor. He plays Sergeant Abraham Ford in The Walking Dead back when I used to watch it.
Yeah, he's played a cop in something else as well. I saw.
Yeah, he was in Band of Brothers. He's quite typecast as sort of like big tough guy.
Even though he doesn't really come across as that to me.
Well, his name does. I just looked up. The character's name is Big Mike Walton.
Seriously?
Yeah, Big Mike. He looks like a Big Mike. I mean, the actor's name is Michael Cutlets, so he's literally a Big Mike.
Big Mike. Oh, that's what you were saying. I thought that was the actor's name. I thought you were saying the actor's name was Big Mike.
The Big Chief.
Anyway, so in our flashback, Anna and Big Mike are out on patrol, and she's not too appreciative of the fact that, yes, they're on patrol, but in a very, very fucking safe neighborhood. And as she confronts him and says, "Are you doing this because of Captain's orders?" And he doesn't even try and deny it. He's just like, "Hey, Captain says jump. I say in what fucking shoes, right?" Not that quite exactly, but he's just basically saying, "Hey, Captain's orders, right? You know, like I ain't going to go against the Captain." A call comes in over the radio that is very obviously not for them, but Anna grabs the radio and responds to it before Big Mike can say shit. Well, guess they got to go to it now, right? So they speed off to respond to whatever this call is. It's like some sort of a fucking domestic dispute. They rock on up, and there's very obviously an actual fucking domestic issue going on here outside of a house.
Domestic disturbance. The only disturbance here is the fucking acting by this couple.
Oh, it's shocking.
the guy in particular, he sucks.
Yeah, I wasn't a big fan of this scene, but this scene's not actually about them. It's a woman with a baby in her arms and a man with a TV in his. Lots of noisy shouting is going on. Big Mike is trying to talk to them, trying to diffuse the situation. Like, hey, can we all just like calm the fuck down here all of a sudden? And Anna doesn't do anything. She's just standing there listening to the noise until she decides now would be a really good time to aim my gun at everybody.
Yeah, standard LAPD practice.
Yeah, exactly. Fair. Stop resisting!
The camera does like frame it in a way that she is affected by the baby's crying. Something to do with the baby is affecting her, right?
Yeah, and I think this connects to something that she said earlier in the episode where a family with a crying baby recently moved out of nearby where she lived, like as a neighbor, but now she thinks it's too quiet. So there's something about this crying baby that's just triggering for her.
We're getting hints, and hints to what we already talked about at the start of this episode.
Exactly. Remember that spoiler alert? Well, if you don't, stay tuned. And if you want to find out what it is before we get to the end of this episode, losttheplotlads@gmail.com. There is a chance I will read that email and respond to you before you get to the end of this episode, because our episodes are quite fucking long. Anyway, moving on. Yeah, lots of noisy shouting, so it's all too much for Ana Lucia, and she whips out her fucking gun, okay? Starts aiming it at everyone. Get down. Get on the ground. See, here's the thing about holding a gun. If you're armed with a gun and you bring it out, number one rule, you do not take out your gun unless you are 100% prepared to fire it. You never use a gun as a method of intimidation. And this is the way cops are trained. If they take out their gun, it is not to try and get someone to comply. It is with the intention of shooting if they don't comply. Okay? There is a subtle difference there. So this quite obviously alarms Big Mike, and he decides to totally undermine her in front of these people, but for their safety. He starts demanding that Officer Cortez holster your weapon. Stand down. And she's not listening. So he even goes first name basis with her. Ana Lucia, holster your weapon. That gets through to her, and she does, but kind of like a petulant fucking child. Like, fine. Whatever.
Big Mike ain't gonna last much longer on this force. I'm gonna be harping on LAPD a lot in this episode, probably, but whatever, maybe agree or disagree with ACAB, but it can't be denied that the LAPD are a particularly like offensive police force. Man, read some articles. They have literal gangs in LAPD.
Oh, really?
Yeah, police gangs. There was a whole expose on it from New York Times or something years ago. It's fucked. That police force is fucked.
Now, here's the thing. I'm not saying that all cops are bad people. I don't say that. There are some good people who are cops, but being a good person doesn't mean you're a good cop. All cops are bastards. There are good people, but you're still a fucker of a cop, right?
Yeah.
By virtue of being a cop.
Systemic issues, protecting and serving the state, not the people. We could go on, but, we've probably already lost enough listeners to our political ramblings. So.
Isn't it quite lucky that you and I are both similarly politically minded? Or this podcast wouldn't have lasted too long.
I mean, our episodes would certainly be longer. We don't need that.
But anyway, moving on, we are back in the jungle at Anna's current predicament, tied up Saeed, and she's got a gun. She's rocking back and forth on whether or not to let Saeed go. She's not verbalizing this, but we can tell that she straight up doesn't know what to do. She wants to
Yeah.
keep everyone where they are. She wants nothing to change, no one to go anywhere. Keep them under threat of being fucking shot until she can figure out what to do.
Yeah, she's spinning and like waiting for something to happen, basically.
Yeah, because she's not going to kill Saeed, right? But if she lets him go, he is going to kill her. She is convinced he's going to fucking kill her. She just murdered his girlfriend, like his love. So
Yeah, well, she says that right in this scene. She says, "I killed someone he loves," and apparently that love was more obvious to her than it was to any viewer.
yeah, so in this scene, Libby tries to convince her to let Saeed go, but Anna refuses. Michael goes to get him some water, and Anna's like, "Where the fuck are you going?" And he's like, "I'm gonna get the dude some water. If you're gonna shoot me, just shoot me. Like, fuck off." Like Michael's standing up to her now. He's empowered by Echo, right?
I was gonna say, yeah, Echo's injected this bravery into him.
Yeah, Echo started a movement here. Michael goes over to Saeed, gives him some water, and gives him the scoop on the tailies, who they are. Because keep in mind, Saeed has no idea who these people are.
Yeah, it just even occurred to me in this scene that like Saeed fully thought that they were all on the raft, so he must be like, "The fuck?"
Right. Michael also gives the update on Walt's abduction status, basically, and Saeed wants out.
He just gets randomly angry here. I mean, he can't be that angry about Walt, but I guess he's just angry about everything. I don't know. I feel like Saeed's not acting very in character for most of this episode, but hey, man.
Hey, less than 12 hours ago, he was having like the most romantic evening ever with Shannon, and now she's dead. He was not expecting this. So he's going to be like mentally flip-flopping, emotionally rocking back and forth. He doesn't know how to feel or what to do at this stage. So we cut from that very, very serious scene to the golf course. Jack and Kate giving each other a little bit of light ribbing, so to speak.
I'm surprised Hurley and Charlie didn't show up. Like, wouldn't they have wanted to see this shit?
No, Jack would have been like, "Fuck off, I'm trying to get some poontang."
Yeah, maybe they read the room like that. Maybe they're like, "Oh, golf, is that what the kids are calling it now?"
Although both of them strike me as the type of motherfucker to be totally oblivious to that as well. One of them would have to point it out to the other.
Yeah, or they might also be the type of guys to watch from the bushes.
Yeah, fucking Timon and Pumbaa. I can see what's happening. What? But yeah, Jack and Kate, the way they're teasing each other. And do you know what it made me realize? This is episode 8 of season 2. These two still haven't fucked.
No, they haven't even kissed. Sawyer's got that up on Jack, despite how forced it was. Nothing. It's all sexual tension all the way down so far.
Playing a few rounds of golf, Kate hits a ball, and Jack doesn't want to show it, but he's clearly impressed at the shot. He had better milk all the time with Kate that he can before injured Sawyer gets back. That's all I'm thinking during this scene, because in that little love triangle, Sawyer comes back and he's on death's door. Kate's attention's going to be all gone, but we might see that later. We might. Who knows? I do. I've seen the episode. So do you. Jack, teases Kate, steps up, he hits a ball, and it's the wonkiest fucking shot ever.
He sucks shit. All the fucking shit talking he was doing. My God.
Ball ends up like out in the fucking trees, out in the woods and shit. Like,
ball is in parking lot.
That ball made it off the island almost back to LA. Like, I don't know how he did this.
Tell you, yeah, this could be a clue for the fucking search party.
So anyway, Jack, he's no other choice. He decides to go and find it. He's kind of stepping over some rocks, over a little stream. Kate's like, "Hey, we've got other balls. You can just like do a drop shot, whatever. Like, you don't have to go finding this one." And Jack's like, "No, I got it. Right? No. I'm going to get it."
I guess he has no faith in her putting skills then, because he really thinks that he can fucking make this in fewer shots than her. That's how golf works, right?
Yeah. Lowest number of shots, blah, 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 blah. Least number of shots you can get it into the hole, the better your score.
Yeah.
Although you can have other numbers affect that, like your handicap, which is one of the rules that Kate set out in this little competition between her and Jack. No handicap. So Jack and Kate go in search of this fucking ball. He's stepping over a fucking stream. It's among all these fucking rocks and shit. And then what do they find along with the ball? But it's Mr. Echo coming out of the bushes with Sawyer slung over the shoulder.
Yeah, and they look freaked. Like, they obviously think he's one of the others, because that's kind of what he looks like in this scene.
Jack is ready to go throw down with this golf club. Like, he just holds it up like, Like, who are you? What are you doing with my friend?
Not the worst thing to be armed with against Mr. Echo, I guess. Although he can fucking swing Sawyer around probably like a ragdoll.
Yeah, but then the best way of disarming Jack is what Echo asks next, which is, where is the doctor? And Jack's like, ooh, that's me. Yay, I get to be important again.
Well, he's just any fucking excuse to get out of this golf game.
He's like, oh yeah, shit, like I'm tanking this. Yeah, doctor stuff. Let's do doctor stuff. Go.
His first thought when he saw Echo, even if he did think he was an other, was probably, oh, thank fuck. like physical prowess. I know I could beat Austin at this.
Anyway, Echo wants to know where the doctor is. Obviously, Jack told him it was him because we now cut from that to the hatch. We've got a crossword puzzle. Locke is doing a crossword puzzle. I do have a bit of trivia about that.
He's fucking nailing it as well. Like he sends it in this scene, right? It looks like that's the last. I mean, it doesn't show the full crossword, but it looks like he's pretty much filled in the last clue, which is Enkidu's friend, Gilgamesh. I had no idea. I paused it on the crossword hints just to see if I knew. I mean, it was tough not knowing the amount of letters and stuff like that. But Enkidu's friend did not know it from the Epic of Gilgamesh, I assume.
Correct. So hang on, let me delete that from my trivia. Locke is doing his crossword puzzle, and yes, thank you, Dave. The answer to his crossword puzzle is Gilgamesh. To do with the Epic of Gilgamesh, there's a link there. It's a trivia point. I'll get to it later.
Oh, nice.
You haven't completely ruined my trivia.
I'm glad to hear it.
I am going to be flying more by the seat of my pants on this one later. But anyway, moving on. Jack is bringing Sawyer into the hatch, along with Michael, along with Kate and Echo. Actually, is Michael there? I can't remember. Does he bring Michael? No, Michael's not here yet.
No, Michael's still with Ana Lucia for now.
Yeah. Sorry, I'm remembering this wrong. Jack is doing his doctor thing, because Sawyer is like on death's door. He's fighting off a major infection. Locke comes to ask what's happening, but Jack very politely tells him to fuck off and hit the button because the alarm is going off again. Like, is this Jack deliberately being dismissive with Locke? Like, confrontational?
100%. He's basically like, the adults are talking, Locke. Go and tend to your silly little button.
I wasn't sure when I saw this. I thought maybe it was Jack just too in the zone. Maybe there's a little bit of residual resentment towards Locke for his silliness with the button and believing in fairies or whatever the fuck Locke believes in. But he's more focused on Sawyer. But no, he is being very fuck off, right?
I think so. I think it's almost like, I'm doing something useful, Locke, so why don't you go off and do your little thing?
Do you know what? That is nail on the head. That's exactly what's intended here. But Locke doesn't fight it. He does recognize, okay, if I push this, it's not going to benefit anybody. So I will step out of the room. And he meets Echo with the most awkward James May-esque hello.
And Echo replies, hello. And it's so, awkward is exactly the word I had written down. It's so funny.
And even though you make the connection with the Tailies that Echo is their Locke, to see them, they're like, I don't know if this is deliberate, but they're like a black and a white backgammon piece here because that's what
right.
It has to be a reference, right? Referring to their skin color, black and white. Black and white has been a theme with Locke for so long. Echo is like a mirror image of John here, ideologically speaking.
Yeah, the interesting thing is that black and white are not opposed in this instance, but they are, like you said, they're mirror images.
Yeah, mirror image, the same but reversed. I don't know where I'm going. What were you going to say?
Something just occurred to me that when we were talking about Locke being dismissed, he is kind of backseating this whole episode. Nobody's really paying attention to him. There's more important shit going on. He keeps being, him and Echo have a chat, I guess, but he's largely dismissed, especially by Jack in this episode. I think that this episode is sowing the seeds of Locke's arc for the later arc of this season, what happens later, like without going in too much into it, because we'll get to it as we talk to it. He starts to feel his sense of destiny wane a little bit, his importance. Do you know what I mean? He begins to feel a bit more irrelevant, and I think this episode might be the beginning of that.
Do you know what? I fully agree with that. This is not exactly the beginning, but this is the tremors that come before Locke's crisis of faith.
Yeah, I was struck by how dismissive even the camera is of him in this episode, even the writing. Everyone's just brushing him off. You know what I mean? Locke is usually quite a commanding screen presence, but in this episode, nobody really gives a fuck. He's just sort of there.
But that's the thing. Locke is too commanding a screen presence, and we're currently dealing with Sawyer. He's about to die. We have Shannon, who has just died. Saeed is tied up. Annie's got a gun. She's fucking unhinged. We've got everything else going on here. Locke would just eat up too much of the screen, right? We gotta backseat him a little bit. But because the writers have to backseat Locke, they're gonna take advantage of that by making use of that. By not paying as much attention to him, by putting baby in the corner, essentially, that is sowing the seeds for what becomes of Locke later.
Agreed.
That could not have sounded any more out of my ass if I tried.
Man, everything I pull out comes from there.
We cut from that. That should have been the name of this podcast. We cut from that. Anyway, we cut from that to the jungle. Bernard comes to Anna. So does Libby. They want out. They don't like this. Bernard wants to go. He's not all for this hostage situation.
He appeals to her sense of family, kind of. He's like, I want to see my wife.
Yeah, and he does admit to Ana Lucia that he's very grateful for everything she's done. He wouldn't be alive if it wasn't for her and her leadership since getting on the island. But he is so close to being reunited with his wife, who he probably thought was dead all this time. Although, was he as sure of Rose being alive?
He didn't seem like it.
No.
He didn't seem like it. Not in the last
Rose was convinced.
Yeah.
But he wasn't.
But we won't tell Rose that. We don't want Bernard in the doghouse.
So Saeed chimes in and says that Anna has no plan. Okay, he's kind of broadcasting this to everyone. All Anna has is her guilt and a gun. So he's trying to turn everyone against her. Not sure if that's a smart play, right? Because of how she's got a gun, she is. Right? You know,
yeah. Again, I feel like Saeed's not very well written this episode, but we won't dwell.
Well, I mean, Saeed's not going to be acting very rationally. His girlfriend just died, okay? And now his girlfriend's killer is holding him hostage. And he recognizes, I think Saeed recognizes it was a mistake because he says all she has is her guilt and a gun.
Yeah, you're right. It's beginning to crack at least. He definitely wasn't feeling like it was a mistake at first, but he's had time to mull it over. Maybe tying him up was the best thing she could have done.
Yeah, but the problem is you tie him up for too long and it becomes, against the Geneva Conventions, and then he's going to get pissed off again for being tied up for way too fucking long. The trick is to tie him up for just long enough to cool down. So this taunting of being told that she doesn't have a plan, Anna's like, okay, well, how's this for a plan? And she starts giving orders to Michael to go and basically bring her a fuck ton of supplies from his camp, the Losties camp. Like, she gives him a veritable fucking shopping list as long as your arm of shit so that she can fuck off into exile on her own in the island. She wants clothes. She wants food, gun, bullets, everything. And, she's told that you'll be on your own. You won't survive on your own. And to which she responds, she's already alone. And it has been for a while now.
I love that. I love that Jin is on his Chewbacca shit here as well, where like he picks up on exactly what's going on, despite not speaking. You know what I mean? Despite not speaking the language, he's just telling Michael like, "Go, I got this here. Go and get that list of stuff that she asked for."
We cut from that. We're back in the flashback with Officer Cortez and Big Mike. Anna's trying to downplay her actions to her partner. If you remember, 4 years ago, it feels like she pulled out her gun at the domestic incident, the woman with the baby, the guy with the TV. She's trying to downplay her actions to Big Mike, but he's not buying it. She's called in by another officer then to basically ID a guy from a previous case. Some punk they've caught dead to rights, and he's obviously involved in a previous case that Anna was involved in. If we haven't made the connection, it was the same case that led to her not being a cop for a while and having to go to a counselor. But all will be revealed later, right? We're given more breadcrumbs here. So she's brought in to ID a guy. He's sitting in like a interrogation room. She's with her mom, the captain.
Jason McCormack.
Yes, Jason McCormack.
Fucking Irish Americans.
I didn't even make the connection. Jason's not really an Irish name, though. Although McCormick kind
McCormick
of
is. It can be Scottish as well. So he's a Celt anyway.
So, like, they've got the kid dead to rights. The fucker confessed, but they need Anna to point to him and go, yep, that's the guy that did the thing way back when. But Anna says it's not him. And this kind of panics Captain Cortez a little bit because we all know that this is the guy. But for some reason, Anna's just being indignant. She's just saying, no, that's not him. Captain Cortez, mom, orders everyone else out of the room. She wants to talk to her daughter. And she's like, why the fuck are you doing this? And she reveals that this is the guy who shot Ana Lucia, nearly killed her, hollow points through her vest. But all Anna says is, I've never met this dude before. This isn't the guy.
Not him.
Fingerprints, evidence, confession, but without her confirmation, without her IDing him, he walks.
Yeah, she digs her heels in. We don't know why, but I think we can figure it out.
And if we can't, it'll be revealed later. Moving from the flashback back into the jungle, we've just got a short little sad scene of Anna sitting with Shannon's body. Very short little scene. Nothing really to say about it. It's just kind of showing Anna and her guilt.
Yeah, confronting the consequences of her actions.
Right, which she hasn't done so far, except trying to keep those consequences from catching her by tying those consequences to a tree. Moving from that down into the hatch, Locke asks Echo what happened to lead to this situation, to Sawyer coming down and everything. And Echo just says there was an accident. A girl got shot. And he's saying all of this while he's staring into their armory. Did you notice this?
Yeah, he's pretty impressed with the arsenal they have.
I know. I thought Locke and the boys would have been a lot more protective of letting outsiders see that they have all those guns.
Yeah, maybe close the door at least, clean up a bit for the guests.
Get out the tin of biscuits.
Although to be fair, I guess they weren't really expecting visitors and they did sort of come in quickly. Even still, leave that fucking door closed, right?
Yeah, so Locke asks Echo, okay, a girl got shot. What did she look like? And Echo says tall and blonde, I think he says. But anyway, whatever he says, it's enough for Locke to deduce that this is Shannon, okay? She was with an Arab.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, and that gives it away. The only person who would be with Saeed, who is tall and blonde, is Shannon. It's the only person it could have been.
And Locke takes what I will call a cursory moment to mourn Shannon before moving on to more interesting questions.
Yeah, it's that meme that's going around from the show Loki is like very sad. Anyway,
yeah.
He literally just pauses for like a second to go, oh. Anyway.
To be fair, he has a little mournful look on his face. He goes, Shannon. So, who are you? What's the deal?
Locke wants to go to them, to Shannon and Ana Lucia. He wants to go to where that situation's all happening. And when Echo refuses to take him there, Locke is like, well, okay, why don't they come here? And Echo is just monosyllabically refusing everything. He's just digging his heels in. He's like, no. He's like, no, I'm not going to bring you there. No, I'm not going to bring them here either. No, I'm not doing anything. Meanwhile, Jack is treating Sawyer with antibiotics, or at least he's fucking trying. This infection has reached his bloodstream, Jack says. He's gone septic. Jack can't get Sawyer to swallow the fucking tablet, but Kate pulled some horse whisperer type shit.
yeah. Some motherly love, it looked like to me. Like it was...
Man, look, there was a Lost rewatch campaign on the Lost subreddit, right? A while ago. I think there's been a few of them now at this point. And I was reading down through the comments for this episode, and a few people said that this was their favorite scene in all of television because it's really good ASMR. It's a really cute scene between Kate and Sawyer. I thought it was the single most awkward fucking thing I've seen in a long time.
Yeah, I didn't love it. The thing I like most about it is that Kate is just besting Jack left and right today. Like, first she whoops his ass in golf, and now she shows him what fucking bedside manner is.
So she is holding Sawyer, caressing his face and holding the big fat ass tablet in her hand. And she's like, the only way you're going to get better is if you eat this tablet, if you swallow it. Just swallow it, baby. Just swallow. She's being like really weird. Okay, she's not calling him baby, but
the ASMR angle is interesting. Yeah, because it's very whispery. Like it's I couldn't even make out a lot of what she was saying because that's how whispery it is.
Yeah, but so Kate is whispering sweet lovelies into Sawyer's ear to get him to swallow the tablet. And we keep getting shots of Jack while this is happening. And he's just like refusing to watch. He's like me. He's like, oh God, I can't watch this shit. But the show's obviously trying to set it up as, Jack just doesn't like seeing Kate being this close with Sawyer because love triangles have to be a thing in TV, right?
Yeah. It's interesting, the dynamic. Let's talk about this love triangle for a sec, because Jack and Kate flirt all the time. They have a good time together, but Kate seems to really, really care about Sawyer. Do you remember how like she was all bummed about not getting to say goodbye to him and stuff like that? They're setting her up that I guess because they're both outsiders, they kind of like established that before, that's sort of the connection they have, right? But she is invested in his safety in a way that she doesn't seem to be with anyone else.
If this show was set like 40 years earlier, Jack would be the guy Kate would bring home to her parents, but Sawyer would be waiting outside on a motorbike.
Yeah.
He's the bad boy and she's attracted to the bad boy, but she really likes Jack.
Yeah.
Because that is the type of guy she wants herself to be with.
Right. Yeah. He's like stability, whereas Sawyer is like spontaneity.
Exactly. Jack appeals to her rational mind, but Sawyer appeals to her loins. So yeah, I hope Jack enjoyed that fucking golf game. Moving on, we go to the jungle again. Anna and all that situation. Anna asks Bernard where he's going, and this is the scene. I mentioned it earlier. I actually skipped ahead a bit. This is the scene where he says he just wants to go and be with his wife. And Anna realizes she cannot hold these people here any longer.
The tailies are turning tail.
Exactly, because it kind of started with Michael. When Michael said he was going to get water, if you're going to shoot me, just fucking shoot me. I don't give a bollocks. Like, Michael called her on her bullshit. He knows she's not going to go shooting him for bringing water to Saeed. So Bernard and Libby are kind of getting the same idea. Like, Anna might have a gun on them, but she's not going to shoot them. So Anna realizes this and she says, you know what? Just leave. Everyone, just go. Just leave. Except you, Saeed. You stay where you are. He can't go anywhere. He's still tied to the fucking tree. So we're left with Anna and Saeed. And
awkward.
I know, right? She has the gun. He's tied up. And she knows that if she lets him go, he's going to try and kill her. Maybe. She doesn't know. But until she does know, she can't do anything. But how does she know? She has to talk to him. Anyway, in another part of the island, far, far away, Michael runs in to the Losties camp, but he trudges through Son's garden and their son.
At least she has clothes on this time.
Yeah, thank fuck. I mean, I was expecting another, Anyway, I'm not going there. I'm not going to be creepy. So Michael runs in on Son's little garden, and as far as she was aware, this dude was on a raft with her husband and Sawyer, but we don't really give a fuck about him right now. She just cares about Jin. And Michael cops onto this. He's like, Jin is fine. Everything's okay. But I need Jack. I need to see Jack.
Both of them are great in the scene, both actors, Harold Perrineau and Sunjin Kim, because you see every bit of that emotion on her face when Michael bursts in. You know what I mean? I immediately saw like Jin just spread across her face. Like, what's the deal?
Exactly. It's amazing how you can read that in her expression.
Yeah.
She's so good.
These two have really good chemistry, these two actors.
Quite surprisingly. Well, I say surprisingly. What's so surprising about it? But I don't know. I mean, these two characters, I never expected to have great chemistry. But no, the actors kill it.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, he says that he needs to talk to Jack. And this brings us to the next scene. We're in the hatch. Echo is given a bit of light interrogation by Jack as to where everyone is. And Echo is not complying with Jack's questions. He very diplomatically says that anything he has to say will only make Jack angry. So yes, Jack, I will just sit here.
Echo fucking knows what's up. Like this is classic Jack, just flying off the handle immediately. What is with this dude's? I was thinking about this watching this scene, right? Because I remember when I was younger watching this on first airing, I liked Jack as a protagonist, and I don't understand now how I ever did. I don't know if it was common to like Jack back in the day, if it's less common now. What the general temperature I've gotten from the fandom is that people don't like him that much, at least not anymore. And I understand that part of his arc is becoming a more chilled out person. But I mean, I have to think that this is probably the biggest thing that has aged poorly about this show is setting someone like Jack up as a protagonist, because we're big into our anti-heroes now, obviously, but I think the writers paint Jack in a way that they want us to like him despite his flaws, and it's difficult.
Yeah, it's kind of tricky, but I can't quite put my finger on why we don't like him so much. I think it's to do with, being this very archetypical straight white savior of a man, like the only doctor on the island. Like, he's a white savior.
Yeah, there's a toxic masculinity angle to it as well, where I think maybe we weren't as keen into that in 2005 as we are now, and we just thankfully as a culture we just don't really put up with that shit anymore, right? We don't see anger, at least not as much. We don't see anger as like a virtue anymore, or like irrational anger, at least.
And I could be reading a bit too much into it, but there's also kind of this subtle thing coming from Jack where he's sort of claiming ownership over Kate by showing how uncomfortable he is with her and Sawyer being together, right?
Yeah. Yeah, there's a lot of issues with Jack.
Like, there's nothing official between him and Kate. As you said earlier, they haven't even kissed. It's all just a little bit of flirting here and there, but they're all literally stranded on a desert island. People can do whatever the fuck they want, and yet he's like, oh no, she's showing affection towards Sawyer. Ew. It's kind of like, how dare she?
There's an irony here, because we season 1 we did criticize heavily, and rightly so, I think, that Sawyer did manipulate Kate into kissing him, right? It's not okay. It was rapey and it was gross. Having said that, as characters, Sawyer does, despite that glaring, offense otherwise, Sawyer does seem to appreciate, to respect Kate's agency more than Jack. You're right. Jack has sort of claimed this ownership in a way that Sawyer never did. Sawyer wants, he likes her, obviously, but he quote unquote lets, obviously nobody can let a woman, you know what I mean? There's a problem with that language, but he knows Kate does her own thing and he wants to be a part of her doing her own thing. Whereas Jack is like, no, I am the one for you. I'm the correct choice.
Yeah, and you're right. There is a problem with that language of letting Kate, but that's the way the show is setting it up. Yeah. Right? We have to address it that way because that's the way it is in the context of the show.
Absolutely.
It is a little bit more problematic than would probably be written today.
100%. Yeah, that's why I say I think Jack as a protagonist is probably one of the things, because we've said this before, Lost fucking holds up pretty good 20 years later, or however long it's been, almost 20 years later. But a few things have aged, and I think Jack's, the way he acts as a protagonist, he's not a very good guy. Again, it's part of his arc. He certainly gets better, I think.
Well, I mean, here's a question. I know we've brought this up on the podcast before, but does this episode pass the Bechdel test? Do you remember the Bechdel test?
Yeah, I'm familiar.
Right.
You can say it for the listeners' benefit, I guess, if you want.
Just in case anyone's forgotten, the Bechdel test is a test that's applied to movies usually. I mean, we can apply it to episodes of TV show. And it's based in this historic and cultural misrepresentation of women on screen. So if there is at least one scene in a movie, as I said, we can apply it to TV shows as well, each episode. If there is a scene in a movie of two women talking to each other about anything other than a man,
and at least one of them has to be named.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I think both of them have to be named. I'm not 100%.
Well, I'll tell you what. I know it's only at least one of them, because I found out this week, it's funny you should bring this up. I found out this week something that passes the Bechdel test where only one of the characters is named. And that is the song Baby Got Back by Sir Mix-a-Lot. Oh my God, Becky, look at her butt. Her butt is so big.
Oh my God.
That is a woman talking to a named woman about something other than a man.
Oh, champion.
I just found that out this week and I thought it was fucking hilarious.
Yoink. I am so stealing that for future reference.
There you go. There's some trivia for you. But come here. So you brought up the Bechdel test. Does this episode not pass it? I haven't really thought it through, but
I don't think so. How many scenes do we have of one woman talking to another? Actually, hang on. Ana Lucia talking to her mom about work.
Work, yeah. I mean, it's about yeah. Okay, so that raises a further question because they do talk about this guy, Jason McCormick. I mean, they talk about more than that, I guess. But like when they're talking about a man, is it okay if they're talking about a man non-romantically?
No, it's not.
Okay,
It's all to do with like over-representation of men, regardless of whether or not it's in a romantic context.
okay. Yeah, so you're right. Her flashbacks past the Bechdel test.
Man, where the fuck was I? Oh yeah, we were in the hatch. Echo saying that he's not going to comply with anything they're asking because it will only piss them off more. Kind of like, when your parents are like demanding, like, what did you do? What did you do? It's like, I don't want to tell you. You'll only be angry. Although Echo's not scared. He's not scared of these people. He's not scared of Locke. He's not scared
Nah,
of Jack. He don't give a fuck. He's just like, I'm going to wait for you all to calm down before I do anything.
let's face it, he could take them as well.
Oh, without a doubt. And he now knows where the guns are. So then we have Sun and Michael entering the hatch. They blaze on in. Jack arms himself to the fucking teeth and gets ready to head on out there, all guns blazing.
Can I just say, sorry if I'm stepping on some trivia here, but I noticed a goof here potentially.
Go for it. What is it?
Sun didn't know about the hatch, right?
Did she not?
Wasn't it kept very under wraps? Like Rose knew about it, Hurley, Saeed, Locke, Jack, Kate. That was it, right? Like Sun was never now unless off screen, but
I guess actually, I can't remember anything to do with Sun learning about the hatch. Although I think it's now common knowledge among the Losties that the hatch exists.
okay. I'm just saying it hasn't been that many days in show since Jack gave Hurley the talking to for showing it to Rose. So anyway, word spreads, I guess. You want to keep something secret? Don't tell the fat guy.
Well, I mean, like, although it is kind of public knowledge now among the Losties that the hatch exists, I think they should have done more to acknowledge Sun being in there for the first time.
Yeah.
Like they did with Rose. They did give her a cursory little.
Ooh,
I don't even know what I would say about this place, Jack is arming himself to the teeth. He hands Michael a gun. He's like, do you know how to use this? And I think, what does Michael say? I guess so, or something like that.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, he says something kind of funny. Echo argues for peace in this. He's like, he recognizes that there's a situation escalating here. And he says that Ana Lucia made a mistake. And Jack's like, what? Who? What? What did you just say? And he says, Ana Lucia made a mistake.
Really quickly, can I just say that before that, as Jack is leaving, Echo goes, stop! And he sounds exactly like a guard from the game The Elder Scrolls 4 Oblivion. Do you know what I'm referring to? It was kind of memey, like, stop! You have violated the law.
No.
Echo sounds exactly like I thought they had used the sound clip. That's how close it was. Anywho, Ana Lucia. Yeah, he says the name, and all I could think was Jack must be sick of all these fucking randos from his past, like popping up everywhere in this hatch.
Yeah, exactly. Because we had that kind of moment as well with Desmond, where he realizes, oh shit, I remember you.
And did you notice when Jack goes like Ana Lucia, John Locke perks up a bit. And I bet he's fucking loving this. He knows well what's going on.
As you say, he's on his destiny shit, right?
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, Jack puts two and two together, realizes who Ana Lucia is. You can like he very obviously remembers who she is without him saying that he remembers who she is. It's just the look in his face. We, the audience, it's communicated very clearly to us. He remembers her from the airport. And Echo comes to an agreement with Jack. He makes a deal with him. He says, I'll take you to her if it's only you and no guns.
Echo makes him an offer that he can refuse, right? Like, how does he de-escalate this?
Well, I mean, can Jack refuse? Does Jack know where they are?
Michael
knows where they
Michael are. Knows where they are. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, Echo has no fucking leg to stand on negotiating here, and he's just completely successful. Here's my theory, right? The mention of Ana Lucia was enough to soften Jack. And do you know why?
Why?
Because after seeing Kate with Sawyer earlier on, he needs a new source of poon.
No, I knew you were going to say it. He wants Ana Lucia to be his rebound, but he knows that she just killed Shannon. Is he really going to stick his dick in that?
That remains to be seen.
We shall find out, won't we? But anyway, Jack actually agrees to this. And I don't think it's poon related with Jack. I think Echo is appealing to Jack's sense of rationality deep inside. Like Jack is he's very reactive in this moment, but he is quite a rational and logical person. And I think Echo is speaking to that on almost like a subliminal, subconscious level. So I think this is why Jack agrees. Okay, fine. Just me, no guns. Yeah, like Jack recognizes when a situation needs to be de-escalated. And maybe he's kind of recognizing himself as going a bit far, forming a militia to go after Ana Lucia, right?
Yeah, I hope you're right. Obviously, my crass reasoning was a joke, but yeah, I hope you're right.
We're a pair of creeps tripping over our own wokeness. Anyway, back in the jungle, Anna's trying to talk to Saeed. Saeed doesn't exactly help his case here by telling her he's Iraqi. Like, she's trying to have icebreaker conversation with him, like, where are you from? And he's like, I am from Iraq. Now, keep in mind, during the time that this came out, everyone from Iraq, every citizen of Iraq was viewed with suspicion
I don't know.
The United States.
I wouldn't, I mean, by the United States as a whole, but I don't know if you could attribute that to every single person. I mean, Ana Lucia is a cop, so you probably can't attribute it to her.
That's what I'm talking about. Like I'm Iraq. Right. Oh, you want them terrorists, huh? There was this kind of an attitude at the time. I remember it very fucking clearly. So he says that he's Iraqi. She asks, do you have any kids? And he's like, why are you asking me these questions? He recognizes that she's trying to find a reason not to kill him, which I don't like. We've seen this kind of scene before in movies and TV shows, and you always feel like there is a chance that the person could be killed here. But I never got that from the scene. I mean, it's Saeed. He's got plot armor, I reckon.
Yeah. The same with Sawyer, right?
Right. Yeah, maybe we think one of them's going to die. Fucking Saeed goes on to say that, no, he doesn't have any kids. He is a torturer. He has tortured people. And Anna thinks on this a bit before telling him that she's a cop, or at least she used to be. She tells him about responding to a burglary call once upon a time in a land far, far away. Some poor student was there, she said. And he comes out of the house, out the front door, puts his hands in the air and says, no, I'm not supposed to be here, whatever. But basically, the moral of the story is he was a piece of shit, and she thought he was very innocent because he wanted to show her his ID, and she let him reach into his pocket to get his ID to prove his innocence. And she said all she remembered was hearing the pop, and she thought she was dead before she even hit the ground. She says now to Saeed, I feel dead. And Saeed asks her, what happened to the guy? In answer to Saeed's question of what happened to the guy that shot Ana Lucia, we go to a flashback. Anna's in a bar, and the guy she had to identify earlier in the episode, if you haven't made the connection, this is the guy we were just talking about. This guy is also in the bar. I wonder if this is coincidence. Spoiler alert, it's not. Anna follows him outside, and he goes to get into a car fishing for his keys. She confronts him from about a quarter fucking mile away down the street. She goes, Jason. And he's like, what? And she's like, Jason McCormick. It is McCormick, right? Yeah?
Yeah.
And he kind of walks out, faces her. And this is kind of like John Woo style, Old West type shit. He's just looking at her straight down. He's like, do I know you? And all she says to him is, I was pregnant. Oof. And then she fucking bang, 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 straight into him.
Basically unloads the clip. Like, she shoots him, like 3 times, and then goes over to his lifeless corpse and fucking triple taps. Like,
this is what Jesse Eisenberg taught us, right? You gotta double tap at least.
She fucks him right up. And I guess, yeah, this kind of paints everything we've seen before, her relationship breaking up, her trauma around babies. Saeed asks her if she has kids in that previous scene, and she sort of reacts to that in a way we've seen her react before when Libby asked her if she had kids last episode.
Yes.
Yeah, here's our answer. Kids
are a sensitive spot for Ana Lucia. I wonder how she's going to react around Claire if she makes it that far.
She can't be any weirder than how Rousseau reacted around Claire.
Okay, yeah, true. Can't be any worse than that, right?
Right.
Right. But yeah, those 3 words, I was pregnant. Damn, like
heavy.
Yeah, that paints a pretty big picture for Ana Lucia. This offers a lot more context behind her actions.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, she fucking, and I don't mean this in the 2020 style, she slays this motherfucker, like execution, cold blood style.
Slay Queen. Yeah, she fucks him up.
Back in the jungle, this is the answer to Saeed's question, by the way. What happened to the guy? We come back to the jungle, and Anna tells Saeed he got away, straight up lying to him.
Why do you think she does that?
I don't know. Maybe she doesn't want to reveal that she's a cold-blooded killer.
That was my right. So I had written it down. I wrote, I guess she's holding out hope that he'll forgive her and doesn't want to seem like a cold-blooded murderer. But then 2 seconds later, she's got a death wish, and it completely steamrolls over that. Like if she truly wants to die, and maybe she doesn't, maybe she's trying to do some reverse psychology shit. But if she truly doesn't care about her own life, then why would she lie?
Yeah, I'm not sure that I get it. This message, I think, is a bit too deep for me. I don't understand why she's lying.
Yeah.
I genuinely don't have an answer to it because she brings over a machete in like one of the most obvious fucking fake outs this show has ever tried to pull.
Yeah, I hate this fucking knife misdirect was so dumb. I hated it.
This trope is fucking bullshit. But very obviously, she cuts Saeed free before dropping a gun and a machete at his feet. And she says, like, you know, maybe I deserve it. Maybe I deserve to die. This is her whole attitude. And Saeed says to her, it's kind of pointless to kill you if we're both already dead. And this is in direct response to what she said, which is, I feel dead, right? This is Saeed basically responding with, same.
I guess we could speak on this here. I just find it so hard to buy all this drama with Saeed in this episode. And I admit that it might be my personal feelings about Shannon and Saeed getting in the way. It probably is. But I mean, like, you know, their relationship didn't work for me in the first place. She's not the fucking love of his life, right? Nadia is. That's been established. I'm not saying that he shouldn't be sad at all, but they barely knew one another, and this whole thing feels like melodrama to me. It just doesn't sit right with me. It's why I think Saeed is acting so out of character all this episode. Again, obviously he's going to be sad, but the fact that I couldn't really buy that he liked Shannon in the first place is just a trail of breadcrumbs leading to this payoff, if you want to call it that just doesn't work for me at all.
Maybe. I mean, maybe this is coming from my position of I don't believe in the concept of the love of your life. You can meet someone that you love more than you've ever loved someone or ever will love someone, but does that mean they're the love of your life? Like, it's this whole concept of the one, right?
I agree with that.
People have varying compatibilities. It's not a binary scale of I love this person more than I will love this person. You can love people in different ways, right? And Shannon is this shiny new toy on a fucking deserted island. Sure. I think that's a very superficial way of looking into the relationship of that's why he's with Shannon. You know, she's just an attractive, pretty blonde set of legs. But there is a bond between them, a type of bond that Saeed didn't have with Nadia. So I don't know. I like the relationship. I've grown to like the relationship and I've grown to appreciate it from a slightly different angle. But Saeed's not really in the mood for killing Ana Lucia. He just leaves her to wallow in her own fucking guilt as he goes over to hold Shannon's very, very cold body.
Punishment enough, I suppose he sees it as, you know?
Right.
Let her live with it.
Which in itself is a big fucking trope, but I'm okay with it here. So we go back to the hatch. We see Sawyer trying to sleep, falling in and out of consciousness. He's fighting off an absolute bitch of an infection. Like he's sweating, but he's shivering. The antibiotics are working, clearly. And Kate is there just offering, you know, words of comfort. She's with him. She's spending time with him. She's, you know, she's Florence Nightingale here for him.
She says, "You're home," which I thought was interesting.
Yeah. Do you want to read into that?
Well, again, Kate and Sawyer have connected on this level of they're both outsiders, right? Maybe I think this is more telling for her than it is for him, but maybe she is finally settling into the island as a place where she can be free. Do you know what I mean? And she's projecting that onto Sawyer, obviously. But it's starting to feel like Kate maybe doesn't want to leave as badly as, you know, she's got a shower now. So
I don't know if I would have read that much into it, but I really like where you're going with that. Yeah, you took the words out of my mouth with regards Kate projecting onto Sawyer, right? She feels at home with him.
Oh, interesting. Okay. Yeah, I didn't even see it that way, but you're right.
She feels at home with Sawyer. This is her man. Yeah, what I was saying earlier on about how you can love different people in different ways. This is Kate with Sawyer and Jack. This is textbook fucking polyamorous polycule going on right here.
Yeah.
Except not really.
Jack would never go for that. Sawyer, maybe. Jack would never go for that.
Yeah, and I hate people who describe this as a love triangle. It's not a love triangle, it's a love corner. Because there's nothing between Jack and Sawyer, and never will be.
Oh, true. Yeah. I never thought about it like that, but yeah, the triangle does imply 3 connected sides.
Exactly. It would be a proper polycule that way, which would be far more interesting, actually.
I mean, remember that scene in the finale of the first season where Sawyer told Jack about that he met his dad? Is there nothing between Jack and Sawyer?
Not romantic. Maybe. So we move from there onto the beach. We've got Michael returning to camp, and he's reunited with Vincent.
The Michael Vincent reunion. A love greater than any Shannon and Saeed ever shared, if you ask me.
Not if you ask me, because this dog could not look any less interested in Michael. Like, he's so clearly trained to just go, like, dude, go on YouTube and look at videos of soldiers returning home to their pet dogs. Dog will jump all over them, wiggle into them. They'll be whining.
Now, to be fair, Vincent hasn't known Michael that long. He was Walt's dog in Australia, you know?
Oh, good point, actually. Vincent just goes over to him and then is just looking back at the crew like, did I do good? Do I get a biscuit now? Do I get a treat? Like, come on, at least fucking try with this dog. Maybe animal training wasn't as refined as it is today back then.
You're saying the dog is a bad actor. I get it.
Yeah, dog is a bad actor. No, dog is not a bad actor. He's been given bad direction.
So this is on Stephen Williams?
Yes, this is 100% on Stephen Williams. Sorry,
we're calling you out, Stephen Williams. Come on the podcast and defend your animal directing.
Yeah, we'll have to slot you in somewhere after we get Jorge Garcia on to drink cans with us.
Boom.
Bit of a ham-handed segue, but
yeah, we've been forgetting it a lot, so I'm just happy when we get one in.
Also on the beach, we've got Charlie fucking around on his guitar when he sees Jin and a few randos step out of the jungle, and some of them genuinely are fucking randos.
Yeah, that's what I had in my notes. I literally had Jin hugging all the randos. Like, I just imagine him getting back and everyone. Like, I get why they need to like pretend that people have established relationships that we see off screen, but Jin doesn't speak English. There's no way he talked to this like that. These people are that happy to see him. Plus, he was supposed to be one of their sources of rescue. Maybe that's why they're all happy. Maybe they think he's coming back and he's going to be followed by a fucking rescue team or something. And they're all like, big chief.
Right, because Jin has no way of communicating to them that, no, I did not bring rescue.
Yeah.
The raft, it went to shit. Sorry, no. And we see Libby, we see Bernard. Rose is very interested as everyone is gathering around.
I got shivers when Rose stood up. I literally, like, my body just tingled. It was,
This is the reuniting we've been waiting for. And I hate the way they do it. And I'll explain why in a moment, right? Let me just continue with the scene.
Please.
Rose finally reunites with Bernard. They hug it out. And, the reactions are so genuine. I'm not ashamed to say I got a little bit choked up at this.
I got misty-eyed for sure. The performances, L. Scott Caldwell and Sam Anderson, I want to say, I pulled those out of my arse. I think those are the 2 actors. Both of them were just fucking amazing. Like I would believe that they were married in real life and hadn't seen each other for months. It was
100%.
It was such a good performance. It was so touching. It was, I teared up as well. It was incredible. Giacchino earned his fucking paycheck as he always does. Is this what your issue with it?
No. So as like you and I, if there's any other show that you and I are as big fans over besides Lost, it's Breaking Bad, right? And you remember there's this big phrase that gets trotted out among the fandom for Breaking Bad, which is, Vince, you've done it again, right?
Bravo, Vince. Yeah.
Bravo. For me, it's bravo, Giacchino.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, when he does his job well, you don't even notice it, right? That music in all the right spots. But when he does his job phenomenally, it stomps on your heart.
Yeah. At time of recording, I still haven't moved into my place in Canada, so I'm in Toronto, so I'm staying with my buddy, and he's very kindly allowed me to use his studio to record. And yeah, so I was watching that in his living room. He was in the other room. He's a Lost fan, like he's seen it, and he just shouts out at me, "What's happening?" And I'm like, "What?" He's like, "What's happening to deserve such a coda of music?" Like,
Yeah, it's so. Oh, the music is just so good. This is some
mhm.
of the best music I've ever heard in a TV show, if not the best.
Yeah, and we haven't said it yet, but we also get the Jin and Sun reunion here.
Right. Yeah. Moving on to this, right? So while everyone is gathering around Jin and Bernard and, Libby and everyone's meeting up and there's reunion and there's hugging and whatever, Sun has not fucking bothered with this. She's too busy wringing out her clothes.
Yeah.
And she sees Jin.
She does a double take. She's like, she looks up and then goes, "What?"
Even accounting for the fact that this shot is slowed down a bit, she gives the slowest double take in acting history when she sees Jin. And they have this big emotional embrace. And here's what I hate. I wish they had reunited and then we see Rose and Bernard. I wish Rose and Bernard had come second because I, as an audience member, did not give a fuck about Jin and Sun reunited.
Me too. Yeah, it wasn't as big a deal.
It was Rose and Bernard I wanted to see. That was the climax for me.
You're right. It did kind of undercut it by switching to Sun and Jin then. And like it was a little bit dumb the way they set it up with the double take and everything because Sun ran into Michael earlier. She knows that Jin is okay. At the first sign of like activity, she should have been on guard. She should have been like, "Oh, fuck, my husband's here." I don't know. You're right. It was the whole thing was kind of hammy and yeah, Rose and Bernard. It is interesting because Sun and Jin obviously are more quote unquote main characters, and we've been like manipulated into caring about them more. But absolutely, like we knew they were going to reunite. Rose and Bernard. Rose has been singing this hymn from day one, and she's fucking validated, and
right.
The performance is just so much. Their performances are so much better than Sun and Jin's in this scene. I'll say, and there's nothing wrong with Sun and Jin's performances, although other than what you said about the slow double take. But
yeah, it's just that we've already had so much Sun and Jin that it's Rose and Bernard, the new reunite. These are the new couple. We've known both of these characters for a while now. Sure, Rose a lot longer than Bernard, but we've never seen them together. And Rose's entire arc from season 1, as little as we saw her entire arc has been about, I know my husband's alive and I will be reunited with him. And this is that moment we've been building up to on the back burner, since the beginning of season 1. But it has been building for a long time. And here it is. And you love to see it.
You do. You're right, though. They didn't have to do much different. The only thing they had to do to fix it was show Jin and Sun first.
Just swap them. Just swap the order we see them in. We're in the absolute home stretch now. We're into the final scene of the episode. We're back in the jungle. Echo leads Jack through the jungle to Saeed and Shannon and Anna. Saeed has lost his constitution a bit. He just walks past Echo and Jack. He's carrying Shannon's body. And he's a little bit upset, understandably. He's had to put on this kind of tough guy exterior immediately after the death of his girlfriend in the face of his deranged captor, Anna. And now that he's free from that situation, he's allowed to just mourn.
I was going to say, yeah, this is his first real chance to mourn.
Fucking hell. Say what you want about Saeed and Shannon's relationship. Either way, this is sad.
Naveen Andrews had a great little, just absolutely devastated but defeated look.
I mean, he was given a big job to do in this episode, I think, and he nailed it. And in the final shot, there's Anna and Jack. They lock eyes, and without saying a word, there's a whole conversation here. Just a wordless conversation.
I had a chuckle at the look on Jack's face because he looks weirded out by her. He's like, what's going on with this bitch?
But there's so much going on here. Like, he's reuniting with a woman he met in passing at a bar at the airport, that they had a little bit of a flirty conversation. She has just killed a member of his camp. He knows that she didn't intend to do it, that it was an accident. She knows that she just killed a member of his camp. He's the leader of their camp. So she's trying to interpret how he feels towards her. He's trying to interpret how he feels as well. No one's really sure what footing they're on yet.
Yeah, he's got to deal with why he has an erection.
He's planning how to get into those pants because he's not getting into Kate's any day soon.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's it. Lost.
Boom.
End of episode. So tell me, Dave, thoughts. What do you think?
Yeah, you know what? I usually write down thoughts when I'm doing my watch through, and I didn't really write anything down this time. So I'm going off the dome here, but like I liked it. I thought it was a solid episode. I thought the flashbacks were really good, and I feel like the flashbacks have been kind of weaker recently. I had my criticisms about Jin and Sons, the Shannon ones I didn't care for at all. I thought these were great. They did the legwork they set out to do to explain Ana Lucia's character. I guess we will talk about Ana Lucia as a character overall, should she ever perish. But I just want to say really quick that like I hear a lot of negative opinions in the fandom about Ana Lucia. Nobody likes her as a character, and I don't really remember the ins and outs of her story from here, but so far, like I don't hate her as a character. I think the writers justify her behavior at every turn, and I think like she makes sense. She's well written. She's well rounded. She's flawed, obviously, but I mean, you don't want like a shining knight character. You want your characters to be flawed. The gray area is where it's interesting. The stuff on the island was fine as well. Rose and Bernard's reunion, absolute highlight of the episode. Yeah, like the interesting sort of breadcrumbs they're setting with Locke's story, like we mentioned earlier. This was a pretty dense episode. It was nice and packed, and I didn't expect to like it as much as I did for an Ana Lucia episode, which, minor spoiler, a character that ultimately doesn't matter a whole lot in the overall scope. I liked it a lot more than the Shannon episode, put it that way.
I mean, if there's something that is kind of more astute viewers would have copped onto this much earlier in this season, but I'm not sure how obvious it is. But when you look at the tailies versus the main cast Losties, the tailies all seem to come across as B team version of the Losties. And what I mean by that is like when the Losties were being created as characters, it's like the tailies, your Echo, your Ana Lucia, your Libby, all those guys, that they were candidates to be Losties, but were eventually dropped for the cutting room floor. You have Echo, who's just a replacement Locke. You have Ana Lucia, who's a replacement Kate, kind of. Like, these characters are different. They have different backstories, different motivations, but you could theoretically reimagine season 1 of Lost and replace Kate with Ana Lucia, and you have a very similar storyline, right?
Yeah.
You could replace Locke with Echo. You could replace Hurley with Libby. Right?
Yeah, or Claire with Libby, maybe.
Or Claire with Libby, for example. Right? I don't know about that. Claire's whole shtick is being pregnant.
Yeah, although she like Libby isn't maybe as comic reliefy as Hurley. Do you know what I mean? I think they're quite different characters. I think Libby and Claire have more personality characteristics in common. They're both very sweet, very like caring, motherly and that kind of thing. I think Bernard, although you're right, he's interchangeable with Rose, but the fact that he's tied to Rose makes that a little bit, less of a. Here's the thing, major spoilers for all these characters. It's telling that Bernard is the only one that survives to the end.
How do you mean?
I just like you said, the rest of them are sort of, it's almost like they're brought in as expendable versions of these characters.
Right, but I do like how they're not exactly like Shelbyville versions of the Losties.
No, you're right.
They're not. Like Ana Lucia, you could make an argument that she's sort of Jack and Kate rolled into the one character.
With a hint of Sawyer, I would say.
Definitely, like a little bit of rough and tumble about her.
Yeah.
That isn't quite there in Kate and definitely not there in Jack.
Yeah, she's got the edge that Sawyer has.
So it is going to be very interesting to see how these tailies and the Losties collide. You see what
collision. Yeah. Right. The dynamic going forward. And to tell you the truth, I don't remember a whole lot of the details. So I'm excited for this rewatch.
Yeah. Now, is it very telling the fact that we don't remember many details because of how fucking forgettable they are in the end?
That could be it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe it's nothing to be excited by.
Well, speaking of things to be excited by, would you like to move on to the next section? My favorite.
Oh, let's do it.
Alrighty, cue the music. So this week I've got a really nice little trivia section. There's nothing groundbreaking in here, but there's some really interesting stuff that I quite like. Although all trivia is interesting trivia to me. And there's certainly enough of it that I should just get on with the show. So the first thing I have here is Maggie Grace was credited as a special guest star for playing Shannon's corpse.
And what a performance it was.
Ah, incredible.
You'll be missed, Maggie.
This is the only time in the series that a special guest star did not have lines.
Oh, interesting.
Now, do you remember at the very beginning of this episode, I said it's called Collision, aka Old Habits?
Old Habits, yeah. I like Old Habits as a title, by the way. That feels fitting for the Ana Lucia story and everything.
Right. So the episode's not actually called Collision, aka Old Habits. It's called Collision. But this episode is also known as Old Habits. And I'm about to explain that, right? So this episode was originally promoted as a Charlie-centric episode and titled Old Habits in order to hide Shannon's death.
Oh.
There were hopes that viewers would think that this episode focused around Charlie using drugs again. However, the title would play into Ana Lucia's old habit of shooting people.
Yeah, right. Very interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
It is funny how like Lost did have to be like this. One of the first shows that had to be like this, that had to navigate the introduction of the internet to the world, where people could look this stuff up, where they could speculate, where they could spoil in ways they never could before. You know, so that's a really interesting insight to the way television was changing at the time.
Yeah, and I think the way television is doing it now is like there's a lot of adaptations in TV now based on books. Like I'm thinking of stuff like the Lord of the Rings TV show. We're talking House of the Dragon. We're talking the fucking Marvel TV shows that are all coming out now. So they do know that the audience is going to already be familiar with the source material, but now it's all about surprising the audience with how the stuff is portrayed and adapted. Not so much with where is this going? The audience already know where it's going. It's now all about how it gets there. Moving on with the trivia. Yeah, so they did want to hide Shannon's death and that this was an Ana Lucia episode because this is the first episode to be centric to someone who wasn't one of the original 14 main characters.
That's right. Yeah. I did think that our first non-Losty flashback episode.
A deleted scene from this episode shows Libby talking to a tied-up Saeed. Libby introduces herself and Saeed demands she unties him. Libby tells him that she can't, and Saeed tells her that Shannon is the name of the woman that Ana Lucia killed. Saeed points out that Libby is afraid of Ana Lucia, which is why she won't untie him.
Wow.
Yeah, so I can see why this scene would have been cut. It doesn't really serve much of a purpose, except kind of saying it out in the open that you're scared of Ana Lucia, which doesn't need to be said out loud.
Yeah, it's perfectly fine on the cutting room floor, but it did kind of just spell it out, like that this is why nobody did anything to stop this immediately. But yeah, you're right. I mean, it's implied heavily enough in the episode.
Now, you mentioned the reunion of L. Scott Caldwell and Sam Anderson, Rose and Bernard being very genuine, like you'd nearly believe they were married. Well, they deliberately did not meet each other until they filmed this reunion scene.
Whoa.
You are watching the actors meet each other for the first time in that scene.
I mean, that makes it even more impressive.
Right?
You know what I mean? Like these people don't know each other at all, and they turn on the fucking acting like that. Maybe like I would believe you if you told me they had been friends for years, and that's why it was so convincing. They had never met each other. Those are some chops right there.
It reminds me of scenes I've seen in like reality TV shows and stuff of like long distance relationships finally meeting each other for the first time, or pen pals meaning each other. Like Rose has this reaction where she has her hands on her chest and she's like, oh, you know, like I don't know how to describe it. It's so genuine, and I suppose that's why you can feel it from Caldwell. This emotion, like, oh, it's you. I'm finally meeting you.
Yeah, it's super sweet.
And the final bit of trivia I have is Locke's crossword clue and Kaidu's friend and answer Gilgamesh foreshadows the future relationship between him and Mr. Echo.
Oh, does it? Do you want to elaborate?
No, I don't want to fucking elaborate because I don't know the Epic of Gilgamesh as well as I wish I did. I know that they start off as enemies and become friends.
Okay.
That's as much as I know.
Do Locke and Echo start off as enemies?
Well, on opposing sides, on opposing factions.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, that makes sense.
One side just killed one of the other, if you want to read into it that way, right? Now, that's all of the trivia for this week, but I'm not letting you go anywhere until we get some goofs in, okay?
Oh, you know it.
And these will make you tear your hair out and render this episode
literally unwatchable.
Man, there's so many fuck-ups in this, right? Buckle up. The opening scene shows Ana Lucia on a pistol range. Facing the camera, she fires a few rounds. The slide locks back and open, signifying that the weapon is empty, before she proceeds to empty another entire clip without any time to reload.
Fire those editors.
Next one. During a flashback in the patrol car, we see rain falling on the windscreen and the passenger side window. When the scene changes, the windows are dry.
Fire those weather effects, people.
Okay. Here's another one. When Saeed approaches Shannon's dead body at the end of Collision, he picks her up to hug her, and you can see on her back that the pink shirt she is wearing has mud on the back of it, and her hair is messed up, and it is down in a ponytail. Then later, when Saeed carries her through the jungle and passes Jack and Echo, her pink shirt is clean, she has no mud on her back, and her hair is perfect and braided up.
I mean, I'm coming for heads this episode. Fire that wardrobe team, fire hair and makeup. We're not going to have a crew left after this.
Also, at several points during, I'm not reading this one now, it's just something I knew to watch out for. There are several points where Maggie Grace is given one fucking job to do in this episode, be dead, and she can't even do that. Ana Lucia walks up to her and her right leg moves. Saeed walks up to her and you can clearly see her breathing.
To be fair to Maggie Grace, it's more difficult than it looks. I actually had to play a dead body in a short film once, and I was an eyes open dead body. And there's a scene in that short film where if you're looking at me, you can very clearly see me blink. So I've been a goof before.
Oh man, you ruined the whole fucking thing. I'm sorry.
It's funny because that video is up on YouTube. Not very many views. 2 comments. One of those comments is pointing out my blinking. I'm like, dude, come on.
Okay, so I've never seen this before. Listeners, I want you to find that video on YouTube and send it to me. losttheplotlads@gmail.com. Thank you very much.
I'll give it to you, man. I'll send it to you.
Hey, I'm trying to drive engagement here, okay?
Yeah, true. Yeah. Hashtag hunt for Dave's video.
Hunt the blink. Anyway, next goof. When Anna drops the gun and the machete at Saeed's feet, they are dropped straight down. But when they land at Saeed's feet, they're crossed over each other. Next goof. When Michael runs out of the jungle, Sun looks up at him over her right shoulder, but in close-ups, she's looking over her left. Come on. What is happening in this episode? It's all falling apart at the seams.
There were so few goofs in the last couple, and they got too cocky, that crew.
When Ana Lucia talks with her mother about not getting a patrol car, part of her hair, constantly switches from in front of her forehead to behind her ear between shots. This is insane shit. How they got away with it, I don't know.
Should have been cancelled right there.
I've saved the best goof for last, right? This is where a little bit of research can go a long way. Ana Lucia and Big Mike's squad car is identified as 8 Adam 16. 8th watch is in the middle of the night, but this scene clearly takes place during the middle of the day. What's more, a radio call at the beginning of the scene, just a minute earlier, went out to 1 Adam 7, a morning shift car. Furthermore, Adam indicates a single officer car, but this car has 2 officers and should be identified as boy.
Is it 8 Adam 5?
8 Adam 16.
If it was 8 Adam 5, like they could have excused that for 815.
Oh,
numbers, but that's not the case at all. I mean,
No.
8 and 16 are numbers, but
Yeah, 8 Adam, 16 numbers. There you go. Yeah, but Adam indicates one a single officer car, but it's not. There's clearly two of them, so it should have been at least 8 boys, 16. But still, that would have put it in the middle of the night. And that is all of the goofs I have for this week. Thank you, everyone, for listening in. It has been wonderful to be hosting this episode. I'm about to go and quietly die in a corner now because you know this is affecting my health again, probably in ways I haven't suspected yet. If you want to get in touch with us, point out anything I've said that's wrong, make any corrections, comments, whatever, you can find us on the social media, whatever social media we're on, at Lost the Plot Lads. Yeah, that is our handle. Everything is at the link tree, linktr.ee/Lost the Plot Lads. If you want to get in touch with us, send us an email, losttheplotlads@gmail.com. And don't forget, we got a merch store now at the link tree. Go buy a t-shirt, buy one of these mugs that I'm showing the camera that's never going to make it to the internet. Get one of those lovely mouse pads. Yes, there's mouse pads as well with the brand new season 2 design. I feel like we haven't talked about the season 2 design. Yeah. It's great, isn't
Shout
it?
out to Jimmy
Purcell. You've done it again, Jimmy. And thank you for letting us sell merch with this shit. Well done. Thank you very much.
Whether you buy it or not is another question, but at least we're selling it.
Absolutely. Due to the overwhelming demand of Dave's mother. So, with the end of that episode, Dave, what is your theory this week?
My theory this week is that Kate's golf game was so on point because she found a stash of performance-enhancing drugs in the hatch that she never tells anyone about. Let that explain every sort of amazing feat of physicality she makes in future.
Well, you heard it here first, folks. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Smash that button, whatever it is the fucking influencers are saying these days. I don't even know. I've given you all the link trees. I've given you the handles. Guys, keep looking for us everywhere. And don't forget, if you can't find us, you haven't lost anything until you've lost the plot. Okay? Thank you.
Good night.
Good night. Lost the Plot is produced by Dave and I. Artwork by Jimmy Purcell of BeanBetterComic.com. Music by Noel Brennan of No Exit. Check out No Exit wherever you stream your music. Follow us on Twitter and Instagram at LostThePlotLads or email us at losttheplotlads@gmail.com.